Right, 24 August 2024, and today I would like to give you my update for the weekend. So this is the first update for this Saturday, and today I want to look at a very interesting development that is taking place in the financial services sector of Zimbabwe. And as you can see, the weekend is starting to take a toll on me. It's been a very hectic week. I want to look at the dramatic rise in the wealth of Zimbabwean billionaire Tagwirei. So Tagwirei's wealth has grown by over 7 times in the past 6 months. And this is on the back of the dramatic collapse of the ZIG. The ZIG currency of Zimbabwe has collapsed and is just being held by the actions of the Reserve Bank. Otherwise, it's going to go to zero before December. You remember that I had predicted that the ZIG is going to go to zero by the end of December. However, this is likely to happen earlier than that because the Retailers Association of Zimbabwe, an association of retailers called the Confederation of Zimbabwe Retailers, has said that they are holding on to large amounts of ZIG that they cannot offload. And the Zimbabwe National Chamber of Commerce has called upon the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe to stop saying the ZIG is backed by gold, because this is not true. They must start saying that the exchange rate of the ZIG is market determined. The ZIG is crashing, but people like Tagwirei are benefiting and are cashing in. The wealth of Zimbabwe's richest man, Tagwirei, has grown by 7 times in the past, just the past 6 months, between December and now. And I want to show you a graph. I normally do this so that you can understand what's going on. So in terms of what Tagwirei holds just in the banking sector, he's got 2 banks right now and an insurance company. His company is massive. And this price and ZIG, they show you the collapse that has taken place in the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. So I'm going to show you here the graphs that are right here. They show you what has happened in terms of growth. Right at the bottom is ZB Bank. This bank has grown from the bottom here to 739% growth since January. And this is just one of the banks that Tagwirei owns, together with FML and CBZ. You can see CBZ right there at the top. So if you keep going up, you're going to see that CBZ has also done very, very well. But the reason why CBZ has done so well, ZB has done so well, is because it owns a lot of property. It also has an insurance arm, and it's got a massive footprint across Zimbabwe. So Tagwirei is now one of the richest people in Zimbabwe, and his wealth is increasing dramatically because of the crash of the ZIG. When I talk of the crash of the ZIG, I'm talking here about just between January and now. The ZIG has lost value almost 2 times. So when we started out, it was around 13, somewhere there. As we speak right now, the market rates are going above 26. And this is electronic ZIG. I've explained to you what is wrong with the electronic ZIG. The electronic ZIG is fake. It's not real currency. And this is the reason why we have all these massive problems. But people like Tagwirei, they're going to make a lot of money in this collapse. They are going to make money because the old mutual, which was previously used as an exchange rate, is no longer trading on the stock exchange. So retailers and companies that are failing to put the ZIG anywhere else, they just take the ZIG and they put it on the stock exchange. And eventually, you're going to see the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange going to levels that you've never seen before. And this is because of the ZIG. The ZIG is collapsing massively. And this is demonstrated by the graph that I just showed you here, where Tagwirei and his companies are making a lot of money. Just CBZ is almost 200% up, And all the companies that have to do with gold, with production, they make a lot of money in Zimbabwe in terms of the Zimbabwe currency. But when you look at the foreign currency component, it's not a lot of money. In fact, they have less money in Forex, but a lot of money in Zimbabwe. And what eventually happens is a few companies will start owning everything in Zimbabwe. So we are now reaching that hyperinflation era once again. But it's currently masked because 85% of all transactions in Zimbabwe are currently taking place in Forex, and this is increasing. Companies are no longer accepting the ZIG. That is, if a company, you can't go to another company and buy in ZIG. That's crazy. And the situation is going to deteriorate even further. To make matters worse, the cash ZIG is not available on the street, and this is a massive problem. So let's see what happens. There is a midterm statement coming out sometime very soon. And what the bodies, industrial bodies have recommended is that this exchange rate must be relaxed. At the moment, it's being managed, it's being kept at 13, somewhere around 13. Imagine what is going to happen when they allow it to float. So you must brace for a lot of volatility within the next few months. It's going to get very, very bad in Zimbabwe. We're going to be in the position that we were last year, but the collapse is going to be sudden, and you're going to see it happening very, very quickly in Zimbabwe. I like it when I predict something and it happens. It's amazing. I like the fact that these things cannot be, you cannot do anything to the economy. Like you cannot come up and say, I've made this gold-backed currency and it's going to be stable. That won't work. This is what happened to Mnangagwa right now. He's finding out the hard way that you cannot trick the economy. This is what they've been trying to do with all sorts of different currencies and schemes and all sorts of ideas. The ZIG currency, the ZIG note, all these things that they're coming up with, it's all failing. And the Zimbabwe National Chamber of Commerce have said in the advice to the RBZ that the underlying political and economic issues that need to be addressed. And every day I come here in the evenings to give you what is wrong with the Zimbabwean economy. And I don't want to go into it now. Tonight I'll be back. I'll give you more on what needs to be done to fix the Zimbabwe economy. Mnangagwa will never be able to do it. The current guys who are running the Zimbabwe government will never be able to do it. There is a need for a massive change in the approach in Zimbabwe. And as I said, by December, the ZIG will be down to 0 and Mnangagwa will be in another crisis. Now, let's go to my second story. Very interesting story. And this story is very personal to me. So this is on your left here. This is former Minister of Finance of Zimbabwe, Terence Mkupe. He is being visited here by a relative during the prison services family week. So as I mentioned last week, there was a family week at the Zimbabwe prisons. Terence Mkupe was convicted and sentenced to over 3 years in jail, and he has currently been transferred from Chikurubi Maximum Security Prison to Bulawayo's Kami Prison. And this story, you can find it in the Herald newspaper. So Terence Mkupe told the newspaper that he is now teaching inmates maths and commerce, and he does not wish the life of prison on anyone. And he said that the most touching thing that has happened to him is the visit by his grandmother, who's 86-year-old, who has had to travel from Harare to visit him in Bulawayo, where he's now based at this prison here. So this is a very sad case. And one thing you should know about Terence Mkupe, he's a very smart guy. He's been a CEO of Obet Mpofu's bank. He's highly connected in Zimbabwe. So he has definitely crossed the wrong people. That is why you see him in jail. And I've gone into detail in the past. One thing about Terence Mkupe is Mugabe had so much love for Terence Mkupe. When we were at NAST, I was in the same class with Mkupe. I've told you this before. Mugabe personally signed the letter which was taken by Terence Mkupe to NAST when he was admitted as a student. He was a very high-performing student at the National University of Science and Technology. And he went on to do so many things, including working overseas as a CEO, as an executive in the banking sector, before coming back into Zimbabwe. And it's been very unfortunate that such a young man has ended up here in jail at Kami prison in Bulawayo. Very, very sad situation. But this is what happens under Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa decides who to forgive and who to throw in jail. Just today, Mnangagwa has forgiven Andrew Matibiri here. This is Andrew Matibiri, the Zimbabwe Agricultural Society Chief Executive Officer. Andrew Matibiri is accused of stealing $2 million at the Tobacco Industry Marketing Board, which is the government agency, together with his accomplices. They were doing a scheme which prejudiced the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe and Agribank, or the AFC, of over $2 million. That money was not recovered. But today, Andrew Matibiri has been inexplicably released. The charge was just withdrawn for no reason. So they just said, okay, you can leave this whole thing. There's no court case anymore, which means he has done something correct. And this is how Mnangagwa operates. He's like a chief. He does his things in an odd way, which you cannot explain. Strange. Now, let's go to the next story before I go back to bed. I need to sleep now. So, the body of the Malawi plane crash pilot, Captain Fungai Majakwara, has arrived in Zimbabwe, and the body was taken to a funeral parlor yesterday. It's going to be buried on Sunday, that is tomorrow. And this case is very strange because obviously it's not very often that a pilot will just collapse just after takeoff. So he's going to be buried, and then there'll be more investigations to say what happened. But there's a very interesting background to Captain Fungai here. He is a father of 3, and he's left his wife here, Elsie. They were based in Malawi together. And obviously, this must be very difficult for the family. I don't know how they're going to cope with this kind of situation. And obviously, the move from Malawi to Zimbabwe will have to happen. Captain Fungai was working he has worked in many, many countries, including Botswana, Victoria Falls, Malawi, and according to this newspaper report, he was also previously working for Zimbabwe Leaf Tobacco. I think he's one of their pilots over there, before he was appointed as MD of Nyasa Express. So I do not know like when he was appointed over there and what is happening with the actual company, if he owns the company, or if it was a company that is owned by his father, or because his father is also a pilot. So I'm not sure who owns that company and when he joined, but I know that he was the managing director of Nyasa Express, an airline which is based in Malawi. So very sad situation. Let's see what happens, what comes out from the investigation. And there is testing that is carried out on the bodies to see what happened there. And also, obviously, there's a survivor. This is a good thing. There's a survivor. Someone survived this crash. So let's see what the outcome is from this investigation. And then I want to end with an interesting story. This one. Magaya's wife has got a birthday, celebrated a birthday. So very interesting. Magaya tend to like certain kind of women. And Eventually, one day, I'm going to tell you a story about Magaya, which is not known by anyone else. I'm still waiting for permission to go from the concerned people. Kuti mkuru akamira sei chaizvo. But anyway, that is that. Magaya's wife celebrated her birthday, and this is quite eventful. Let's see what activities they have in the church for her over there. I'm almost torn about this story of Ken Sharp and what's happening in Harare. I believe that these guys are in totally the wrong direction in terms of what they're building. And I've thought about it very deeply. I don't think this is the correct direction. The type of construction that Ken are doing, it's not sustainable. And eventually, you will have to come up with a new model. And you know my model that I believe in, which is the planned cities and high-speed rail. So we're going to be doing a lot of work. I'm talking to some people so that we can start putting in place the foundation for all the things that we're talking about. Tomorrow is a big day. Everyone is waiting for the stream or the live by Opo Chungono. I'm looking forward to it. There is a lot of apprehension among the supporters of Nelson Chamisa. The Nelson Chamisa supporters don't know what is going to come out tomorrow. And there is almost a pandemonium or panic, but there's no need. Chamisa is going to come out okay. I can assure you guys, don't worry. And one thing you must allow Chamisa to do, so that's my advice to Chamisa supporters, allow Chamisa to go through the fire. Do not allow him to not face the criticism. It's like when you're going on the other side of a hill, you must first of all go up the steep slope before you start going down. So let's allow Chamisa to pass this stage and go through everything that needs to be gone through. It's going to be okay. So guys mustn't be worried. Nothing big is going to come out of this whole situation. And people mustn't be worried. I get so many calls this week about Chamisa and what is going to happen, and people trying to attack Hopo. Let's not do that. Allow this situation to happen, to blow over. Everything's going to be okay. As Chamisa says, God is in it. You cannot change the plan of God. If Chamisa believes that God is in it, you, the supporters, must also believe that God is in it. And when God is in it, all things work together for the good. You understand? So that's my input on this whole situation. But before I go, I want to read for you advice for Nelson Chamisa. This was given by Chidozi Hairs, and I think it's one of the best advice that was given to Nelson Chamisa. So I think the point here is that you need to be more vocal about the injustice in Zimbabwe, just like Peter Obi of Nigeria. Everyone understands that your constraints, but keep speaking up against misgovernance and intimidation of your people. Hold press conferences and online addresses of your people to call out the things. Come on to Twitter spaces, right? So that is what Chidozi has said to Chamisa. Chamisa has been in the background. People are coming out with all these things because they can't find Chamisa. And I'm not lying to you. There is a lot of love for Nelson Chamisa. People love Nelson Chamisa. But this advice that is being given, come out more, be at the forefront, talk to people, show yourself in front of the people. And people want Chamisa to do very, very well. The problem is when he's not there at the forefront for a year, people get worried, theories arise, and it all becomes a big mess. a big mess that can eventually lead to a problem. So what we have now, what is happening this week, is just a teaser of what can happen. There is a lot more that can happen. And we want our country to do well. We don't want a delay in the change that is coming. However, the change is coming. There's not stopping it. Mnangagwa's days are over. We're in the post-Mnangagwa era. And Mdara, Chiwenga, He's well on his way to taking over ZANU-PF. But I am very concerned about his approach in India. So I said this yesterday. I don't believe that Mdala Chiwenga should be going to India. India, akuna chinhu. Vanhu veku India, they don't give money, they take money. They're like vanhu veku Dubai. So leave vanhu veku India, leave vanhu veku Dubai. Vanhu ivava havana dhiri. Go to China. If you want to do something chine musoro, that is from Mdala Chiwenga. Go to China. No vanhu vane musoro ivavo. Vanhu veku China, they are so ahead in technology. The way that the Chinese approach investment is from an infrastructure point of view. They don't care about anything else. Vanhu veku India vakapinda munzvimbo menyu pavanobuda vanenge vatokanya system yenyu because tovaziva isu todhila navo madays ese. So ava havasiriwo. Kwamunofanira kuenda kunonzi kuChina, munotsvaga matrain, munotsvaga maplans ekubuilda macities. Those are the guys that you deal with, the guys in China. Ava veku India imbomira. So what Vice President Chiwenga has said is that they are looking for money for loans in India. And I said here, I do not believe that is the right direction. The Indian guys are not the guys to go to for money. They're not the guys to go for anything. The economy is not dramatically rising. The infrastructure is bad. The people are poor. So that's not where the direction to go. You need to go to India, to China, to the Chinese guys. So the Chinese guys, in terms of technology, they are way ahead. So I'd like to thank everyone. I think you can see, Gutu, I want the change to happen also in ZANU. So I just don't want change to happen in the country, but also in ZANU. I'm coming, listen, you're laughing at Magaya. Magaya, Munoshokeka. And then Peter Toish, Peter says, use English. Yes, I use English. When you see me using Shona, I do it on purpose. I don't want to with Vandins. And then Mkoma Tongai, what needs to be fixed in Zimbabwe is politics and economy will respond positively. No, Mkoma Tongai. That is the old way of thinking. So let me take a moment to explain what needs to happen in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe's economy has been the same since the times of Rhodesia. Mugabe and Mnangagwa, they failed to re-architecture the economy. What you need to do in Zimbabwe is what I've been describing every single day. 2 hours between Harare and Bulawayo, speed train. 3 hours, sorry, 1.5 hours, Victoria Falls to Bulawayo. 2 hours, well, 1 hour to Bedbridge. You want speed. And yesterday I got an amazing call. Let me tell you what this guy suggested to me. A train to Gokwe. So a train from Harare all the way to Gokwe, high-speed train. Imagine if you could travel through all that area, which is not touched, all the way from Harare, all the way to Gokwe, you split all the way to Vic Falls, and you have a high-speed train there. A high-speed train costs about $20 million per kilometer. If you're building it from scratch. The advantage about Zimbabwe is we already have rail all over. So all you need to do is to buy the carriageways and to fix the existing infrastructure. So it will cost us very little. The money that Mnangagwa used for Mbudzi interchange, if he had used that money for a train, that would have even taken us to Bulawayo to buy the carriageways, because each railway, the actual train is got about 8 carriageways, and it will take you all the way to Bulawayo very quickly. You only need about 10 or so of those, and your country will dramatically change. The development that will happen if someone was to go to Gokwe in 20 minutes and come back, do a deal, have a farm over there, it will change your country. So first of all, you need to have high-speed rail. This is happening across Africa, and Zimbabwe is the only country that doesn't have high-speed rail. At the same time, you also want to sort out the metro rail. At the moment, traveling from Goromonzi to Harare, traveling from Norton to Harare, traveling from Chitungwiza to Harare, it's a nightmare. Traffic You can spend hours in traffic, and the city is overpopulated. So when we talk of a planned city, we're not talking about the Zwana Kenshap of creating some golf course or whatever. I'm talking about a city with 1 million people. Move the capital city of Zimbabwe, move it to Victoria Falls and see what happens. Put a planned city there, or move the capital city of Zimbabwe to Gokwe, or move it to Gweru. It's a central place where you can build a new capital city on the outskirts. There's so much land. If you put a high-speed train there, all those things work. Besides that, you also need to think about what to do with your politics. The politics is not politics in Zimbabwe, it's military. And we talk about all the time. How do you make your military guys more focused? And I've talked about how you can have a military-led infrastructure development and a military planned city where you put all your military people in a city that is almost a city of 1 million people, families, security guys, everything over there where government can provide services in one place. These are all things that you can talk about and plan. Look at Tanzania. If you talk of Tanzania, just Google Tanzania, what they're doing right now. It's amazing. That's where you need to go. Politics is dead in Zimbabwe. There's no politics. There's individuals. There's Mnangagwa doing his own thing there with his family. There's Chamisa there doing his own thing. That's not sustainable. You might love Chamisa, but eventually there'll be a time when Chamisa is not there. That is where you need a 50-year plan. A 50-year strategy does not care about an individual. You want your country to do very, very well. And that's what I've been talking about. We need a change of approach, and we need to stop this fighting. We need our people to focus the energies, and Mnangagwa needs to release the arrested people. There's no need for him to arrest all these people that are in jail. Right, I think we've got a lot to cover. Is there anything wrong in constructing Mbudzi interchange? Yes, terrible. Mnangagwa has thrown away money at Mbudzi interchange. That thing is not complete. They've not supplied cement, and it won't open in time. In 5 years' time, we'll still be talking about Mbudzi interchange construction. Road, don't focus on roads. Give the roads to the local guys, the councils. Take them national money and put it in rail. Start with a nice rail between Bulawayo and Harare. Put a system in place. The jobs you create are massive. You can see that I'm so passionate about this. I've even forgotten that I was talking about something else. But this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. The future of our country is so bright, and it's got nothing to do with politics. You just have to look at the right place. ZANU-PF is always complaining about sanctions. It's not about sanctions. It's about your plans. You need to have proper plans. And look at our heading. The ZIG is crashed. Right now, as we talk, crashed to zero. It's nothing. And the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is going to wait until the day it actually gets to zero to make a decision. They will not make a decision in advance. This is our problem in Zimbabwe. We think and blame other people. When we've got the necessary skills and the necessary people who can do what needs to be done in our country. For example, Gambakwe is telling you these things every single day before it happens. How long did I tell you guys about fake ZIG? The week that it was released. Now look at this. I just showed you the evidence of fake ZIG. So let me show you that picture. There is no clearer evidence of fake ZIG than this. 700% increase in wealth for ZB Bank. That is Tagwirei there, making a lot of cash from the crash of the ZIG. So I'd like to thank all of you for watching. As I said, dramatic week coming upon us. And we're going to be here. We're going to stand in this place and build a foundation for the future Zimbabwe. And what you're going to see is that eventually the few people that are going to keep standing will build a future for our country. And it will be amazing. Zimbabwe is going to do very, very well. It's got the central location. The one thing that Zimbabwe has got is a tight size. So if a tourist comes to Zimbabwe, They can go to all the places very, very quickly. The weather is very nice. The people are educated. There's actually an industry there. There's no value that you can get in a country like you can get in Zimbabwe. If you fix that country, it's going to attract so many tourists, and the tourist-based economy is the future of our country. We're going to do very, very well. But Mnangagwa needs to change what he's doing now. And I don't think I need to go into everything that I've said in the past about what needs to be changed. I'll be back here in the evening as we continue to talk about the future of our country, the tourism-based economy, the high-speed trains or high-speed rail, and planned cities. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and a